Alright guys, for today's lesson, we are working on estimating products. So you will be able to make estimates when working with multiplication. So we're taking what we learned when estimating sums, but now we're applying it to multiplying numbers. So some key words that we need to remember for today's lesson is a magnitude estimate. So this is estimating whether a product is in the tens, hundreds, thousands, or more. And this will make sense when we look at our first problem, Okay, so in our first sample problem, Davian sleeps an average of 9 hours per night. How many hours does he sleep in a year? Well, you may be noticing at the bottom of the screen, you have the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and the 10,000s. Those are what we're going to use to make our magnitude estimate. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come up with a number model. Okay, and you should remember number model from our previous lesson because we used it when we were using addition. So first let's look back into our problem, and we know that he sleeps an average of 9 hours per night, and he wants to know how much he sleeps in a year. So first I'm going to write out the actual problem. So I'm going to write out 9 hours times 365, and we're estimating. So we're going to do some rounding to get these to some more friendlier numbers. So let's round this 9 up to a 10. And let's look at that 3, look over by the 6, and we know that a 6 is bigger than a 5, so that 300 is actually going to become 400. So this would be our number model. And 10 times 400, well, we know 1 times 4 is going to stay 4. And then we have 1, 2, 3 zeros left over. We're going to carry over those 3 zeros, so it's going to be 4,000. Now we're going to look at our estimate. Is 4,000 closer to 10 in the hundreds, the thousands, or the 10,000s? And we know that 4,000 is closest to the thousands, so that's going to be our magnitude estimate. And when it asks for magnitude estimate on the Google form, you just have to check the one that it's closest to, which in this case would be the 1,000s. Alright, let's do another problem together. So, a housefly beats its wings about 190 times per second. How many times does it beat per minute? Okay, so we know we have 190, and we're trying to figure out per minute, which would mean there are 60 seconds in a minute, so that's how I got that. And bringing down my 190, well, I'd like to get my 190 to an easier number, so I'm actually going to look for this one. I'm going to look over and I know a 9 is bigger than a 5. So I'm going to get that 190, I'm going to estimate it to 200. But I'm actually going to keep 60 the same because it's a pretty easy number to work with. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to look, okay, what is 2 times 6, which is going to get me to 12. And I have 1, 2, 3 zeros left over. I'm going to carry those over. And I'm going to get 12,000 as my answer, which is closest to the 10,000s. So I would circle that as my magnitude estimate. Okay, remember those words, magnitude estimate. It's very important. And then finally, our last problem that we're going to go through is Jenna reads an average of 5 pages per minute. How many pages can she read in an hour? Well, we know that there are 60 minutes in an hour times 5. Okay, so this problem is actually simple enough that we really don't need to do an estimate, but we can still solve and use our magnitude estimate with our results. So let's do 5 times 6, which is going to get us to 30. And then we have that 1 0 left, and we're going to add that on, so 300. And is it closest to the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, or the 10,000s? And it's actually going to be closest to the hundreds, and so we would indicate that that is our magnitude estimate. Alright, you have finished today's lesson. Go ahead and complete the Google form and begin tonight's homework.